This episode of Yeah, Beer and That is brought to you for free by Craft Beer Banter and the Dock Brewing Company. On this episode, we're interviewing the craft beer king, Mr. Matthew King. Talking to him about his desert island beer, his gateway to craft, and his guilty pleasure. Grab a beer, make yourself comfortable, and settle in for an hour of absolute drivel. Lukey, you want to bring us in? Which I'm always bringing us in.
I don't know what you're calling this because it's...
This is Yeah, Beer and That presents.
Yeah, you do that. I don't do that. I do the other one.
CVVR.
Yeah, I do the CVVRs, and I don't introduce those either.
Hello and welcome. That's how easy that is. Hello and welcome to another Yeah, Beer and That. Well, this is Yeah, Beer and That presents. We've got Matthew King, Crafty Pint.
Welcome.
Presenter and author with us today. How are you, mate?
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on. This is my very first podcast I've ever been a part of.
Is it really?
Yeah, very first. So.
Dude, podcasts are such a white person thing to do. I feel like everyone's kind of done it.
So I'm a bit awkward, that's why. First time. So.
No, you'll be fine, mate. A couple of shandies and you'll be
Absolutely.
right. We're here to talk to you, Matt, today about everything you've been doing in the craft beer industry. You're kind of this lovely figure, and I've been following you for a few years now. You're one of the first SA. I don't want to say influencer because I hate that word.
Thank you. Please don't say that.
You're one of the first maybe SA proper craft beer personalities that I knew of, and that people talk about in the industry.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I don't really like to see myself as a personality or anything. I just get around the craft beer world and have fun, really. We actually moved to South Australia in 2013, so from Queensland. And being a primary school teacher, I thought that English was actually my worst subject to teach. I was actually really bad at it. So I wanted to do something around that to try and improve. And I did a bit of writing, I did a bit of sports writing, nothing that I got paid for or anything, just a bit of fun. And then my stats website got closed down because no one was referencing it. So I thought, well, what am I going to do now? And that's right about beer. Yeah. And then as Pirate Life was coming in, I emailed James Smith from the Crafty Pint and just said, hey, would you like me to do an article? They're down the road from me. And he said, yeah, sure. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. And then I was sick on the couch one day and I was like, well, I could do this Instagram thing and put a name, and I put my name into a name generator next to craft beer and it spat out the Craft Beer King.
Craft Beer King.
I'd like to think that was me, but no, it was a name generator. So,
cool.
Yeah.
That was, man, that's a really... Because I was going to ask you... I kind of didn't want to ask how we got the name because it was pretty Craft Beer King,
Yeah.
But it's one of those... That's awesome.
And when I introduce myself sometimes and then someone just tags on, yeah, he's the Craft Beer King. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I am, but, it's only because my last name's King, right? I'm not this douchebag, the king of all craft, okay?
Run around wearing a crown.
Yeah. So, well, some people just look at me with a kind of grin, look, and you're like, no, it's my last name. And they go, oh, that's actually pretty clever. Name generator. Works well.
Yeah. That's how Childish Gambino actually got his rap name?
Oh, really? There you go.
Yeah, the Wu-Tang one, wasn't it?
Clan.
Something like that.
Yeah, rap generator. That's...
I think I'm eight-legged freak or something.
You got eight-legged freak?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I thought that you were Viking Thick Dick from that one.
No.
Thick penis, actually, and you changed it.
That's just what you like to think of me.
You guys have seen too much of each other.
Like a Pepsi can, mate, isn't it?
Definitely not.
So we're going to talk to Matt today. We got now we don't exactly have the exact ones, but we've got your guilty pleasure beer.
Yep.
Your introduction to craft.
Yep.
What's the other one?
Desert Island.
Desert Island.
There's a lot of beer.
Yeah. This is the fourth time I've done this, and we still don't know what the three are.
But most importantly, we want to talk about this amazing book here. Look, do you want to, with your long arm, show the camera?
What do you get?
The Chronicles of Nelson Smart.
It was initially going to be called The Chronicles of Nelson Smart, Beer Connoisseur / Wanker. But I thought when I went the more PC version / geek, changed it quite early on the piece.
Okay, yeah, because there's actually an Instagram that I've followed for a while called the Craft Beer Wanker, and it's a bit like, I get it, but it's also like, how how far do you go there?
Because there is just so much wank that does go on in the background sometimes in the craft beer world. And
At the end of the day, it's just beer, isn't it?
yeah,
It is hard
If
though.
it tastes good, it's good. If it doesn't,
Because we say that, but
Yeah, I know,
at
but
the
then
same
we-
time, we've got a podcast and YouTube, like, we've got all this other shit, and we're like, we're not like that. Yes, we are.
oh yeah.
yeah, I've read some of my previous reviews and think, yeah, I'm definitely in that category. So
Thank you. That's awesome. So, do we want to get on? Which beer would you like to start?
let's go with my guilty pleasure. 'Cause that's
Guilty
always-
pleasure.
yeah, it's
Which
always
one's that
fun.
one?
That was so I had two kind of beers for that one. So I had Asahi, which is very interesting because we're drinking rice lager right now. But there's also the Cooper Sparkling Ale. So with the Asahi, I lived in London for a year and a half, and the corner store sold Asahi for 99 pence a stubby.
Nice.
Yeah, so I went around, and every Friday I used to get like 12 of them, and then I was back by Sunday again. And the guy actually said, we don't raise the price because you drink so much of this, and you're always here. Any other shop, it's like £1.20, and it was
Yeah.
99p for a stubby. So they go, you just drink so much of it, we got to keep it the same price. So,
Dude, how good is that?
That's so good.
so that
Holding
was
back inflation. Yeah.
So that really helped me drink like that and keep the money down and go travel. But then obviously sparkling is a great one as well. I love sparkling ale. It's a kind of blur between that kind of pale ale, kind of saison-y kind of notes, and it's just a bit higher in the alcohol content too. So
It's one of my favourites.
That's another one that I keep in the fridge. I don't buy a lot of different craft beer, you know. But if I'm buying one beer by the carton, it's the sparkling, Cooper
Yeah.
Sparkling.
Summer it's sparkling, winter it's stout. For
Yeah,
me.
you've
The
said that a
Coopers,
couple of
yeah,
times, eh?
yeah,
I
Red,
mean,
red in
fun.
summer, yellow in winter.
I actually told my dad last winter to go buy 2 cartons of stout, drink one in winter and then keep one for next year. So he's actually listened to me. I didn't listen to myself. But so he's got a whole stout case from last winter now.
Really? Okay. Actually, one of the last people we interviewed was talking about that.
I just use that.
Yeah, use that. It's all good.
And they basically told me that when they go to a pub, they'll the Quingeworthy Homebrew. He's a big friend of the show. He said that he'll buy a stout and an IPA,
Yep.
and he'll let the stout sit while he drinks his IPA. So he's always got that warming, lovely.
There's
beer
probably
and-
something I could have probably mentioned in one of the stories. I've seen people sitting at bars before with little bowls of hot water, and they've had their like barley wine sitting in a little bowl of hot water.
Honestly.
just to get it warm again. So
Yeah.
it's an exaggeration I could probably go to next story.
Oh, definitely, please do. Now, while we drink this nectar, let's go through the first few stories.
Thank you.
Poor Matt. Let's go through the
Give me
first
crawl
couple of
time.
stories on the Chronicles of Nelson, mate. Tell us a little bit about the origins of the first few chapters.
All right, so chapter 1 is basically just setting the scene, introducing the main characters. So you get an understanding of a couple of Nelson's idiosyncrasies and how he acts and how he behaves a little bit, his actual fan level, and how crazy he is about just finding rare tipples and there's the uncle-daughter's jelly bean pale ale made with
Jelly bean, yeah.
only the pink ones, not any other colour, but just the pink ones. I'm sorry, I'm ruining the story for people who actually haven't. Too much
We'll
spoilers.
bleep that out, mate.
Yeah.
We bleep out tons of shit. That's
Yeah,
fine.
we might have to preface this.
I'll do some edits.
Yeah, he gets devastated. So him, his 2 friends, Xavier Geld, spelled with 4 X's. Don't sue me, CUB. And then Stella
They have no money to sue people.
Yeah, I'm not making enough money for this to sue me anyway. So, Stella Fleur, obviously referencing the Stella Artois as well. So, and just how good friends they are, and just have a beer and share a beer all the time and talk about it and geek out a bit about it. And then it's trying to get a little bit of education into the beer reader as well, like what's that smell? Where's that come from? I think the first one references something to do with sulfur, maybe an pitching of yeast kind of thing. So
For the lagers, mate. That's,
just trying to get a little bit of education. I don't know if it's true or real, but that's what I
no,
understand it as. So
from what I understand too.
yeah,
I do have to
I
ask.
know less than you guys. Don't look at me.
Now, for Xavier, in my brain, every time I read that, all I read was as 4X. But are we supposed to know him as Xavier, or is it as 4X Xavier, or how do you want the reader to read his?
well, probably just Xavier. I think later on it goes to shorten to Xavier a little bit as well. I've had to go through the whole book and make sure every single Xavier had 4 X's next to it. That was one of my very hard proofreading segments. But Xavier 4X is just, and as you can see on the front cover, the can looks a bit like a 4X gold can too. The yellow
double
and the red,
IPA.
which is good. But he's obviously, Xavier's the one who he just loves drink. He just, double IPAs, goes to town on them. Stella's more the voice of reason and a bit more positive, uplifting, calming, and she'll spend 2 hours on a beer just to appreciate the aroma every time. And whereas Xavier, he'll be like, double IPA, where's my next one, halfway through the skull kind of thing. So, and Nelson sits kind of in between, I think. So.
Nice.
I was reading that and I was feeling very guilty because I could fit into every single character that you put in there, even to the point of the what's the Frothy Boys?
Oh yes,
The when I was reading about the Frothy Boys, I don't know what they actually called.
Frothy fellas.
The Frothy Fellas. I was like, holy shit, we've done some shit like that, especially in our younger, like the earlier, because we've been doing this for like almost 4 years now.
Yeah, well, you've been brewing for a long time.
Well, I'm talking about the Instagram though, where we were like talking shit on there, and it definitely rings true to a lot of that. A point that Simo made was that you must have seen a lot of progression, mate, from starting this book 4 years ago to now.
yeah.
What's the biggest swing that you've seen?
Well, when I moved to Adelaide, there was only quite a few companies around, and I wasn't really huge into the scene then, so I didn't really know too much about it as well. For me, the progression is that I've learned so much along the way, and I've followed all these Instagram accounts, and I learn a lot from even social media. We've got nearly 700 craft brewing companies in Australia now. About 75, 80 of them are South Australia. Just the change of styles has been probably the biggest interesting thing. Like we had this buzz style, like XPA was huge for a while, and then it kind of flipped to NEPAs, and then it kind of flipped to brewed IPAs, and they kind of disappeared very quickly.
They were very quick. That was in and out.
Yeah, so it's just
there's one of those sitting in the fridge here, isn't there? The Smiling Sunward one.
Yeah. So then go back to the triples and then the oat creams, and so it's just that the buzz styles have just changed dramatically, and how it started off with core range was so key for a lot of companies, and now some of them changed their model completely just to have those limited releases, and that's just their core business, because no one wants to drink the same beer anymore. So that's probably one of the biggest things that I've seen change.
I have found that even and I'm bad for it because I'm one who advocates for let's get it right, let's get the styles right, let's do that, but I'll constantly go to West Beach Cellars and pick out, watermelon goza, yes please, and it's weird to be so hypocritical.
Yeah, I'm pretty guilty as well, actually. I don't buy too much of the same beer. Mine just complements my homebrew a little bit, so I'll buy about 6 on a weekend, and I'll have probably 2 each night, and then the rest I'll drink as homebrew. So I don't usually drink too much cool range stuff, although I'm going to be buying a case of Jetty Jumper soon because I've got to stay under the limit because my
Jetty
wife's
Jumper
to have another baby. So
Congratulations, by the way, mate.
April 1st is a good date for April Fool's Day. So that should be fun. But so I'm going to try and get some Jetty Jumper stuff, which is 3.5% is great from Big Shot.
It is, yeah.
So going back to the original question though, they've just mainly the how they breweries conduct themselves business-wise, especially like new companies like Shapeshifter who've started up. They've gone limited release. They started with the core range. They're kind of like, yeah, we've got it, but we're going to get limited release because we need to be out there in people's faces until we get our own brewery kind of thing. So, yeah.
They're one of the people that I think of when I think of that as well, that limited release. And they do it well.
Yeah.
And the SA boys and that, and we've had a bit of a snipe at the old oat creams, but if you try their oat cream...
Yeah, their last one, the Level Up.
Hell of a beer.
Yeah.
It is one of those, like... You have to stay in business, and that's the business of craft beer at the moment, and it's adapting and changing. Saying that, the Weedy, which is mentioned here. I do apologise. What are they reference to in this particular?
It's the Tiny Teeth Hotel, so it kind of rhymes with Wheat Sheaf, Tiny Teeth.
Tiny Teeth.
I was trying to work out a way to reference it. I mean, the Weedy's only a 20-minute ride from my house, and it's not far, not long. Always used to do a Sunday afternoon. We used to ride to the Weedy and take my laptop with me. And this book, a lot of it is actually written at the Weedy.
That's amazing.
That's cool. I like the weedy.
Yeah, and edited there. That's why a few mistakes, I should have put that in the preamble too. That edited at the pub while drinking. There's definitely going to be mistakes in there.
This is like the perfect drink, a book for having a couple of beers too. I got such huge weedy vibes reading that, especially from the creak of the floorboards to the way that you have to amble through the corridors to get to the par. You've nailed that so well. And I just wanted to say that was like a couple others I had to have a think about as to where it is, but the Tiny Teeth was like.
Yeah, well, because I've been there so many times, I can describe it a bit more.
Close your eyes and you can see it.
Yeah, I've been there quite often. That's
one thing about them that's so cool is that they don't package beer, and they don't they kind of are their own little machine, and that's the other side of craft beer that I think is amazing here in Adelaide. That I'm not sure is kind of that I know of anywhere, especially along the east coast, that does something similar.
But no one would know about the Wheat Chief unless you're from around that area anyway.
Of course,
probably other parts of Adelaide wouldn't know anything about them. We're just because we're...
Yeah, well, if you ask Jade at the Weedy about her beers, she says that that's the best thing about, and she thinks it should happen more often, is people have to actually go to that place to experience their beer, because she's very wary about packaging her stuff, and she has actually got a canning line on the water, but she wants to be enjoyed how the conditions that she has it as. Yeah. She wants to be, cold store, make sure it's not been stored in the wrong spot, that sort of stuff. So she didn't really want to put it into package because of those reasons, but I think she's going into it now to try to expand the business a bit more.
Yeah.
So, but yes, the Wheat Chief Hotel has definitely held a bit of a special place for me because it's so close, and Jade's been awesome for me. I've hosted a couple of events there in the past and been to a few events, and as you said earlier, helped brew a beer there as well. So
so please tell us a bit more about that, because that was something that, like, I can't remember where I heard that or I saw that, but like, again, your name does crop up in craft beer circles quite a lot.
My ears always burning.
Tell us a bit about the beer that you brewed there. Tell us about that.
So with the Crafty Pint, they have the Crafty Cabal, which is a kind of scheme where it's a reward scheme where, if you remember, you go to certain venues that are part of the Crafty Cabal and you get discounts, or they have different deals for each evening. And there's also competitions you can enter and special events and things like that. We had one last year, the year before COVID, at Little Bang, and we got around and got to taste some of their barrel stuff that no one's ever kind of tasted, and which is crazy cool. But yeah, they brewed a beer in SA at the Weedy, and I was able to go to that. We used, whole Cascade flowers in like an English bitter kind of thing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it was pretty interesting. I think they called it the Landlady in the end, which was some reference that James, who's from England, came up with. I don't understand the reference, but I'm sure that there was a definite reason for it. So I helped out brew there a little bit on their small little kit at the time. James from Shapeshifter was part of that as well, and a couple other people also. So yeah,
is that something you'd like to keep doing in the future? Like, do you plan on doing a couple more brews commercially, or is that are you kind of happy doing what you're doing?
I'm happy what I'm doing at the moment. As a school teacher, I get good holidays, so it's really hard to pass on. My wife being a school teacher also, it's good to have the holidays together.
Wow, dude, that's amazing.
Yeah, so we get holidays together, and the pay's quite good where I am. So to go back to like a brewing sense and start a company up might be a little bit hard, but maybe later down the track I might do something small, similar to like what you do, where just do start off with a batch, sell it out, get a next batch kind of thing.
Yeah,
that'd be kind of cool. So I've definitely had thoughts of it, but yeah, I don't know how that would go just yet. So, but keep home brewing for now.
Tasting some of your beers, mate. I don't know. We had the craft beer banter.
Well, you cleaned up at our craft beer banter competition.
That was all blind tasted as well, by the way, mate. Okay, so I even put all the beers, I numbered all the beers, and then I put them away. So even I wouldn't know which beers were for who.
Yep.
And I brought them out, and it was just weird finalising all the results and then putting them in. And I think you got 3 beers, all scored the exact same.
Yeah, wow.
But all
all up the top.
Yeah. All the very top. So
first, second, and third.
Yeah, well, because
first and first.
Yeah, I didn't actually enter into the state comp that year. I haven't actually done too great in the state comps in the past.
Well, we have no idea what we're talking about as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a 40 out of 50 for Hellers at state comp before.
Oh, cool.
So,
wow, dude, that's a wicked score.
But I was actually I thought that rice lager did match up quite well to the light lager kind of area, even though that wasn't what I initially wanted it to be. And then, the chili stout, you I don't know where to put that.
What do we put that in like the vegetable? Did we? Or was it just in the stout?
No, maybe
it was
spice
like,
stout or something like that.
spiced
Yeah.
stout.
Yeah.
It was hot though. So much spice.
That was hot,
It was
but
good.
it wasn't. So it was actually really lucky. We tried possibly the hottest fucking beer we've ever had in our life before that. That was our other stout that we were and we couldn't drink it because it was so fucking chilly. And then yours came along and it was... Maybe if we tried them the other way around,
Yeah,
it would
because I
have been
thought
a bit
mine
more
was
critical.
quite hot too. So
Oh,
there
no,
you go.
dude, this was like liquid fire, the other one.
Jeez.
Yeah, I thought yours was good. I think it was like it was a solid burn. Like sometimes you get chili beers and they're just like, oh, okay, it's got a bit of chili in it. Gave a bit of funk, but not really anything spicy. But like if you get a chili beer, you want it to have a bit of kick.
Yeah.
I think
Yours definitely had kick,
Yep.
and look, it was hotter than like.
But it wasn't like you couldn't drink it. Like you can go back for round 2. Like,
for those, the chili ginger from Matzo's.
Yep.
Probably a little bit more than that. Have you had that before, Loki?
No.
It was a bit more than that,
Yeah.
but compared to the other one we just had, which was like, like yours was just, it was a really good balance, man.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed that one as well yourself.
Yeah, I've still got a couple actually sitting back at home because it's about 10% alcohol, so I just kept it. It was actually initially like a clean out beer because I had these. It's interesting because it's back to the story. We went on the houseboat from Woolshed Brewery. So we went on those houseboats. My parents came from interstate, believe it or not. Actually, yes, and we took the boat out, which is I'd recommend to anyone, especially in winter. It's amazing on the river. We had a keg on board. It was so good. Just go up and just pour their IPA whenever you wanted to. But as I got back, the head brewer actually gave me 2 of the chilies dried out. And he's like, "Oh, I've got some chilies. Do you want them?" And then 3 years on, I find them in my pantry, and I'm like, "Oh, what can I do with these?" And then I looked at my ingredients and I had nothing but like dark malt. So I'm like, let's do a Russian Imperial, I'll do 10 litres of it, just really like high mash, and then chuck these in the ferment. And after 3 days, I had to take them out because I'm like, this is so hot. I ended up taking them out. They were in there for 3 days and that's it.
That was it.
Yeah.
oh wow.
That was a lot, from what I can recall, that was a lot of kick for 3 days.
What chilies were they?
Yeah, what are they called?
Yeah.
The Reapers, I think they were. The dry
Yeah.
Reapers.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
that makes a lot of
I
sense.
may have cut up 3 bird's eyes just for good measure.
The bird's eyes would have
Bird's
cooled
eyes.
it down compared to the
Yeah.
Reapers.
Yeah.
So on that, I loved the river story because we've been camping on the river.
Yep.
With the Hannaford family and stuff as well.
Mm.
Was that the keg? How much embellishment was in that? Was that fairly accurate, or was that?
No, quite embellished. Yeah, definitely wasn't a 50 litre keg.
I was gonna say, because if you can nail through a 50 litre keg,
No.
that is some absolute serious drinking.
Yeah,
mate.
no, we didn't get through the 20 litre one, I don't think. So it was just a 90 litre keg, and whatever you don't drink, you kind of sell back to them, and they're all good with that. So
So please explain. So you can go down to
the Woolshed
like the
Brewery,
Woolshed,
yeah,
rent
not on
the
Highland Street, no. It's definitely in the Riverland.
In the Riverland?
yeah, the Riverland.
Yeah.
You can rent a houseboat and they'll tap some beer for you.
Yeah, so it was really good experience. Yes, it's what are they called? Wilkerdine cottages as well. They've got cottages there right next to the brewery, and they have about 3 or 4 different houseboats. There's a lot of houseboats pull up to the brewery there as well, but you can hire them off them. There's ones with like big spas on top and everything as well. But then you can get a keg from them. There's 2 taps up top. We only took the 1 keg. There was no funky horse blanket ones at all, but just the IPA. We went just down the river for a couple of nights. We did the first night. We only went for about 45-minute drive, and there's these red rocks when the sun set on them, just unbelievable, just like lit up like fire. We just stopped there, jumped out, had a fire, and just watched these rocks as the sun went down. It was amazing, just flat water, so good. And just did a couple of nights, went up a bit further and saw some kangaroos and went for a walk, found some super old beer bottles, like as we went for a walk in the scrub. And later on got told that might be worth something, we left them there. That was one of my best holidays I've ever had. It was just so
cool.
relaxing. And then everything else that happened in the actual book didn't actually happen.
Hopefully you were fishing for pelicans as well, mate. But that's
No, we didn't do that. We did use corn because we had nothing else to use as bait, and didn't catch anything.
That's all right. That's not about catching any fish, mate. It's about enjoying your time on the river, and that's you really did a wicked job of taking me there as well. Like I was picturing, where did we go? Like where do we go?
We go past Penong. I think. Yeah.
What
Kilmont.
Yeah, we go some weird, or
It's like
been
it's,
a couple of
it's
years
about
now,
half
surely.
hour past Manham.
Yeah,
Upriver
and
from
but you were
Manham.
just as I was
Yeah.
reading it. Anyone who has been to the river,
Oh, you'd be able to picture it.
you sit yourself in that exact
cool.
spot, and it
Yeah.
was really well written. I really enjoyed some time.
It's actually my
that
favourite
section of
chapter.
Is it really?
Because it does bring me back to that. We actually did take our cat on board as well, so it didn't get out. But the cat on board. So it was there, and the owner's like, yeah, I've heard of dogs coming before, but cats are a little weird. So it was only a little baby kitten at the time, so we thought we'd bring it along, and it was good. So
That's
cool.
amazing. So how about Loki? We grab beer number 2. Now beer number 2, what are we looking at?
which
Mr.
one we
King.
gonna do?
This is your.
We'll finish on
choice.
Desert Island, I reckon, don't we?
Finish on Desert Island
Yeah,
is typical. So
yeah.
Okay, so the
go
other
your
one.
Gateway.
Oh, Gateway.
Gateway.
Okay, well this one's this is pretty typical. But what I'll do is I'll tell you a story that a beer you can't get was actually my Gateway. So when we were in London, we did a tour of the Meantime Factory, Meantime Brewery.
I actually haven't heard of that one.
Neither have I.
Yeah. So it's
No.
in Greenwich, believe it or not. And it was amazing. So we walked around, tasted from tanks. They gave us chocolate grain, and I knew nothing then. So like, yeah, this is chocolate grain. I'm like, oh, great. I feel like something sweet, and you taste it, it's just burnt. Bitter. There's nothing like chocolate at all. But their pale ale was unbelievable. So the first kind of experience I've ever had outside of Asahi, really. But it was just so good. It was just like floral, it was nice, well balanced, and anywhere I could find it from there in London, I did it. I drank it, So got to a few craft bars there, but Greenwich Meantime Pale Ale was probably my actual gateway, but it's been sold since. It's huge now. But moving back to Australia in 2011, obviously Stone and Wood Pacific Ale. It's a lot of people's gateway beer.
Thank you.
So that was probably the one that I went to and ventured down and enjoyed the most to start with, and that kind of started me on that little journey. And from there, you just kind of add bits more and more, and you kind of go back to it and you go, oh, it's not what I quite remember it, but I think it's just more that our taste buds have changed more than now. So.
Yeah, well, I think like when you, especially talking Stone and Wood, I think that was one that I had early before I realised it was a craft beer. I just thought it was just another beer, and it is just sweeter than what you used to, as well. The Pacific Ale, it's more tropical, it's sweeter, and you just go, that's not a West End, that's not a super dry. But then, when you've had craft beer, and then you go back to it, you're like, oh, that's just like pretty
really mild. It's really
pretty
tame.
mild, But
I don't know if they've changed it since, because I was at my
grab it, Loki. Yeah, go pour it out.
hockey presentation night and we're having jugs of it, and I was like, this is actually quite juicy. So I think they might have amped it up a little bit, the juiciness of it, just to reflect the latest styles a bit.
Very well could have, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Look, I reckon in the crisper. Sorry, mate.
The bottom one.
The bottom crisper.
Just navigating.
Grab a couple out, mate. Grab one each. It's a brilliant beer.
I can't hear them.
I'll make sure we're satiated, mate. Yeah. So this was actually mine as well, mate.
Yeah.
It's
Between this and like the Little Creatures Pale Ale, sorry. It's a lot of people's gateway in Australia, I think.
Yeah, there's something about it that so I like as a podcaster, I listen to a lot of podcasts myself, and in the States, a lot of people talk about Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, and what they've all kind of said. I could list a few of my favorite podcasts, but the Brewing Network, The Session, is one that I love. Justin, when he was talking about that, he said that the beer was different enough that it made him want to go back, but his first impressions were not good. And that's what kind of reminded me of Stone and Wood. Like the first time I tried this, I was like, nah, give me another harm.
Yeah.
But it was just close enough that I was like,
I'll have that again.
I'll try it again. And I think that's what a lot of craft beer needs to be. Like there's this, the TV ads where I'll have a on a ladle on a fucking wooden chopping board with a plum floating in it, and that's that craft beer wanker mentality. But I really feel like if people understood that it wasn't that, it's not all about as wanky as it can possibly get. It's about the small scale, normal beer just brewed craft, craft scale.
Well, it's just not a macro lager.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're so good at finding what I'm trying to say and then getting me there.
Well, it's
I'm an
quite
interpreter.
Easy. It's easy to drink, and that's what I think the lagers were all about. Macro lagers, they were just so easy to drink, and you can smash heaps of them. But this one's quite nice and light and easy to drink as well. So I think they've kind of, and as I was talking about limited releases, Stone and Wood are one of the ones that actually have made their core range actually just pop and just keep going and going and going. They do have quite a few limited releases now through their counterculture stuff.
Yes,
which is interesting as well. But yeah, the Stone and Wood's been a classic that's continued on, I think, and I don't think they've tweaked it too much. But as I said, probably made it a little bit more juicier just to keep up with normal trends.
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta keep fucking with this shit because it gets too hot because it's in the window.
It's pretty hot today too.
That's me talking about that's me talking about the camera. Sorry, if we lose the visual, it's you're not losing a lot. Matt King is by far the best looking guy here. So
by far.
But actually, interesting. Stone and Wood also hold a bit of special place for me as well because back in when I first started writing for Crafty Pint, they said, Matt, we send someone down for Stone Beer Day every year, and well, you're the newest guy, so you're up. So I was really happy. Just started writing, and I was getting sent all expenses paid to Byron Bay to do Stone Beer Day, which is like their annual kind of like classic day where they bring all their family and friends together and they light up their stones and they make them really, really hot, and they put it in their annual stout. So I was really, really like chuffed to be invited to that.
We know actually a little bit about the Stone Beer Day.
We do.
So part of this year. Do you want to tell us, Luke?
No. I was actually going to ask. I was going to bring up why they're called Stone and Wood, but it's kind of happened anyway.
Part of our this year's
great.
Yeah beer, and that is that we're brewing weird and wild stuff. So Stein beer is on my list to brew.
Cool.
The only Australian brewer to brew a Stein beer is Stone and Wood.
Oh, there you go.
So a Stein beer is actually just any kind of beer, typically a porter though, because you get that smoky charcoal, where you brew in wooden barrels and you boil it using superheated stones.
Yeah, and it's actually classified as a porter, even though it's kind of ventures down to the stout realm. But yeah, they basically just heat the stones up, the volcanic stones, really hot. The whole day, whole night we're there. We're held by fire. We don't realise that they're the actual stones that are going in later.
Oh, really?
Yeah. How cool is that? So you've been awesome. Part of. So that's the one of the earliest brewing styles, Stein beer and brewing like that. We've tried to emulate that in this backyard here, Matt. I don't know if you can see. There's a few huge patches of dry where I have burnt the shit out of myself and my grass trying to move stones from.
And how much Stein beer have you got out of that so far?
Zero.
Just trying to correct the technique.
Yeah,
getting a little bit more burnt as you go. Yeah.
So that's really cool. You've been part of that, Matt. That's
really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So
how does that go? Like, is it a full day kind of experience, or what?
Yeah. So they picked me up from the airport. We went out for lunch. They all paid for that, which is great. And then they dropped me off for a media thing. At that time, they were doing Beers of the Earth. So they had like 6 different styles. You know, they had the London Port, I think it was. They had like the Czech Pilsner. So every style that matched the different country. So we went there, did a bit of media for that stuff, and then everyone started arriving for Stone Beer Day. And basically they took us through the brew, and then later on in the night they got the stones out with these big tongs, put them in like a basket, and then they lowered the basket into the boil.
Wow.
And just sizzle like crazy. And then they eventually got those out of the boil and actually put them in the fermenter as well.
Really?
To get the real earthiness from the stones.
Oh, wow.
That's information
cool.
we need.
Yeah, there you go, Chris. You're going to have to do it. You're going to need a bigger fermenter.
I've got 3 of those Stone and Wood beers in my cupboard now waiting. Yeah. But I did not know that we had to do that, so I'll be doing that as well. That's,
so add that to the fermenter for a bit.
Add that to the fermenter.
Yeah, just
wow.
extra earthy character.
Yeah, next time you do one, you need to get Matt King around. And
I'll throw you the invite, mate.
Yeah.
If you want to be around 200 degree rocks while I try and swing him into a fermenter from my fishing rod, then sure. Like it was terrifying, but that's
it's impressive that you can get them that hot. They took all day in that little kind of heated thing to get to the heat. Then
I do not know that mine were 200 degrees, but
you get one of those little heat guns.
So,
is it hot enough?
With the Stone and Wood, mate, I want to talk about a section of your book that I actually couldn't read properly, but I did just read through. Any of you so I'm 31. I was born in 89. I grew up on Goosebumps books.
Yep.
The Choose Your Own Adventure.
Excellent. Yeah.
We get to choose our own adventure.
Really?
Yeah,
I haven't.
you haven't got that
read
far
any
yet.
of this, but no,
I want to know how you chose those paths and which path you ended up choosing.
I thought it was funny, and again, this is probably a little bit of a spoiler alert, that where the sensible path always led to his demise and him going home, whereas the first time it was like, which path do you want to go down? Do you go good or do you go the evil path? And the good path actually led him to be going home early, and the evil path was like, well, that's actually positive in the end.
Yes.
So I thought that was kind of funny because people are like, well, I'm going to go down the good path, and they're like, well, you're actually going home.
You're
by
done already.
7:30.
You're done. You're dust.
Yeah, so I thought initially the Choose Your Own Adventure, which was obviously the hardest to write and the longest, it took me so long to write that one. When it says go sideways, I actually had the text all sideways. So people actually would have had to move the book, but formatting is just too much of a fuck around, so I decided against it. But yeah, it says his knight goes sideways, and then there's a bit of a patch, and then the next page was supposed to be sideways. So yeah, it actually is based on my Bucks night, with some exaggerations, obviously.
I would hope so.
Yeah, because I actually went home at 7:23 on my Bucks night.
Did you really?
So
Okay.
That's
So you're option A.
Yeah.
And not swimming in the crab tank.
Yes. So yeah, I didn't go swimming in the crab tank. So
is that just a list of things that you wanted to do on your Bucks night then?
Yeah. Yes. Anything happened after that was what I wanted to happen. It didn't actually happen. No, but it was good fun to write because obviously it gives you a different dynamic to it. And there's a few people who've reviewed it already, said they got back to their childhood of the Choose Your Own Adventure as well. So
I love that. I really genuinely love that, and it was a really awesome, not awesome change, but like it was a surprise because I wasn't expecting that because short stories are always it was fun and inviting in every part, but then I got to that and it weirdly like. I was like, fucking rad. Let's see which we're going to go. And I did do the thing where I chose my way first. And for me, it was the same. I was going home early because I was like, I'm going to do the right thing. Let's go home. But finding out the other options was actually was really fun and a really, really cool addition to a already really, really fun read, mate. So that was,
my brother actually was the one, he actually got a suit jacket. It was actually his own suit jacket, and he had quite a few, so he hulked out of it. He's just like, and just busted the sleeves off it. And the rest of the night he wore a sleeveless jacket. So because we'd been to the races as well, like it suggests. But
it was a big day.
It was a big day. We started go-karting like it suggests as well, and we didn't drink until lunchtime and went to the races and had a bit of a win there. And they actually, the first race in my Bucks, I actually won quite a bit, and they took 90% of the money off me, and they're like, we're going to use this later. And they actually gave me tequila shots at the dinner, and that kind of was my demise quite early.
Dude, that's gonna every day of the week. That's gone.
Straight gone. So, but yeah, bit of fun. And the tasting part of it, and I've done a masterclass on this, is basically taking the piss out of marketing companies who look at their beers and they go, this is what I can get from it. And you go, there's no way I'm getting that at all. And the way that they do it, and one of the ones, and this is nothing against Prancing Pony, but some of their marketing's hilarious where they go, I'm going to take a ride under the orchids and just touching down underneath the plum tree. I love it. It's good because that's great marketing. It's awesome, but I just find that's great and quite funny. If you can give somebody a tasting note, they taste all these different beers and see if they can match the tasting note to the actual beer.
No chance.
Yeah, it's good fun.
The long flavour with them, I actually asked their marketing dude what that was about, and he just gave me some full marketing dude answer as well, and I was like, that's whack, man.
Yeah.
But I'm a big fan of Prancing Pony. So that's one of the.
And I suppose they've probably adapted as well, going back to the adapting of styles to make sure they fit. They were traditional kind of German styles. They nailed every style they did so well, and then they thought to themselves, well, they have to adapt. They go to the NEPA now as well.
Their Pied Piper, it was in like a blue can.
Yeah,
I think they're West Coast. That went really well. Highly recommend that one as well. But yeah,
absolutely.
I write. Yeah, it's just that the goosebumps in me got out. I actually just as my son was born, he obviously can't read. He's 18 months old, but I sprung for like $500 and I bought every single Goosebumps book ever made. Just sitting on a shelf for when he's 8 years
When
old
he's
and
old
he can
enough that
read.
he
Yeah,
can,
because it was that was my childhood. Oh, I got to thank
used to
you
love
for
those
bringing me
ones.
back there.
Yeah,
Man, I've got every book.
remember back in primary school.
I can start reading them again.
Pretty much primary school, go to the library every week, you get a different Goosebump book.
Yeah.
And they used to have those little front covers that you have to like quickly do this to, and they're like little
little
plastic thing.
Yes.
And you could see. Yeah, I remember those.
Oh man, why am I 31 now? That's the worst part.
Goosebumps were so long ago.
Yeah, I know, but it doesn't have to be. So we're actually getting well in. My cheeks are really sore, man. I've been smiling for a long time.
You're not allowed to have a good time on these.
I know, I got to stress.
How dare you?
Should we crack on with maybe
Beer 3.
the beer number 3, which is
Desert
your
Island.
Desert Island.
Yeah.
Which is also not your Desert
No,
Island,
it's
but
not.
there's a story.
Yeah. So I was trying to think about Desert Island. You'd obviously want to drink lots of it and continue to drink it as long as you possibly can. So
This has been I was just going to say, this has been a point in ours as well, has been like which direction we've taken. So I'm interested here. Like, which direction did you take? 'Cause
Yeah,
there's
so-
been a couple of different
We have, everyone has their own little way.
little theory of how you do your Desert Island beer.
It's something that I would want to drink every day and just keep drinking.
Yeah, I think that's the path I went down.
Yeah. So
I think only Kogler's gone. One of our mates has gone for.
I thought Simo did a weird one as well, didn't he? Or did he do a everyday drinker?
I don't know.
Anyway, sorry, I've just
Kogler
distracted from your story
went
here.
for Creek as
yeah,
his Desert
Creek.
Island.
Because it was like if you can only drink one beer ever for the rest of your life,
yeah,
kind of side of that.
right.
And he's like, well, I'm going to pick a beer that I'm going to enjoy the most.
Cool.
Even if I don't want to drink it every day.
Fair enough.
Have that. So, but
Yeah.
I'd probably have. I would want to have about 5 or 6 of them. That's why I don't know if I could do that with a Creek. So, So I was thinking maybe around the Hawkers XBA kind of area. I know a lot of people go to the Rover kind of pale ale realm where they can just drink lots of them and they're cheap cartons. But I went to the next level and thought Hawkers XBA, quite enjoy that. They don't make it anymore though.
I don't think I've ever had it.
Yeah,
I think that was the blue and the gold can.
it was red and yellow.
I don't think I had that in either. I had the
Yeah.
blue and the yellow. I reckon.
I thought it was green. Maybe. What's that one?
Green
Yours.
and yellow is the West Coast IPA.
I reckon I've had that one.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
I did like that one.
Well, that'd probably be one of my second picks. I mean, the Weedy don't do their stuff in cans. I love all the Weedy stuff as well. I'd be able to do it.
Good
now,
one,
but-
okay.
Yeah, well, that's true. 50-litre one.
We can't bring that to the show though, Luke. Okay. Viking thick penis.
Hawkers XBA, and I think at that time the volume of most brewers around Australia was XBAs. I think it's now shifted towards hazy pales. Hence why
Hazy
Hawkers
fucking
now
pales.
has hazy pale as their core, and XBA is gone
Yeah.
out the door. So, but we don't actually have XBA, the Hawkers XBA, because we can't get it anymore. So, what did you?
I
have?
was able to get my hands on the Hawker's Pale Ale though.
The original.
The original one. So, Luke, if you could please be so kind. Please make sure that you and Matt have your glasses full because there's a reason there's only
Yeah, we're gonna drive.
there's a reason why there's only one can left. I had 3 and I drank 2 already. If you grab me the Coopers, mate, I'll drink that while you two share that one. So I'm shouting into the microphone like everyone else at home can't hear. Here we go.
do have to drive home also. So.
Do you really? Yeah. We'll be gentle, mate.
Yeah.
So I'll take the hit on the 1.7.
Jamie's picked me up, so I
You're right. I'm good to go.
can crawl out to the car.
Yeah. So after I was speaking to you, I think, and I'd actually just bought a 6-pack of these, and I was like, amazing, Matt, because I do have these, and I was trying to save them, and I kept going. I'll just drink one,
Yeah.
and then I'll leave the rest for the show. And then I did that over and over again. And George was like, "And you have to save those?" And I was like, "Yeah, I've got plenty." She's like, "No, you got one." So I was like, "Oh, Jesus!" So it's an amazing desert island beer, mate. That you've chosen.
Yeah, well, I like the XBA in particular. It's just had a bit extra kind of hop kick to the Rover. I mean, the Rovers are really good, and everyone used to brag about how I'll drink this first before I do that actually. Well, they're $50
got
a
2
carton, the
glasses,
Rovers,
get
and it's
like
like
Are they really?
yeah,
$50?
Rovers usually are. If you go to like Ed Sellers, they usually do it from that. But I think it was $60 a carton for the XBAs, and I think that's just like a little bit extra hop kick to it. And so around the birth of my first kid, I actually got a carton of that because it's lower in alcohol. You have to be up all night, feeding and stuff like that. So yeah, I quite enjoy the XBA. So yeah,
I kind of like the XPA thing as well. I really, I'm a pale ale man. Like Sierra Nevada is my desert island, but Could very easily be an XPA. Like the maltiness is what I like on these beers. It's not particularly the, smack your face off with hops or anything. The good thing about this is it's got that really good balance.
Yeah.
Like you do still get hop if you like it, but if you don't, it's not going to throw you off.
Yeah, and that's what the new style's a bit about. They're all more hop, way to the right, hop driven, and they've kind of malts just all hidden under that. Whereas this one here, the original pale, which has his little man delivering his bottles again, which is good.
On the side of their cars.
Yeah, which I enjoy that. I like that logo a lot. But yeah, it's just kind of like the balance. It's more the balance between the malt and the hops rather than the new styles where it's just all milk. I mean hops.
Oh, and dude, you're so right with that hops milk comment. There is something about like traditional styles that I really find appealing.
Absolutely, especially what you guys are doing with your BJCP as well. It's just like trying to make sure it matches. And to brew a beer and get the style right is so hard as well.
I go to Brewcraft to get all my malts, and they don't have a very good range. And just trying to find, like when I find a recipe, trying to substitute the malt, and you're just going through and you're just like, that one's got a little bit of what I need, but there's things that it says the beer can't have in it. It's like, this is like everything plus caramel, and it's like, not allowed any caramel. Okay, we can't use that.
Yeah.
And it's a pain in the ass trying to actually make a beer exactly like it's supposed to.
Yeah.
I'd highly recommend for any homebrewer to kind of go through that homebrew challenge. We thought we were original and we thought we'd done something new, and we put it out on YouTube and stuff. And then we found some dude from the States, he's a UK boy. He'd already started and he'd actually called it the homebrew challenge. So we were like all sitting like, oh,
Damn
it. So, but, we found some styles like a Czech dark lager, is one of the absolute favorites.
That, yeah.
A Vienna lager,
yeah.
lagers are my thing, so I'm going to be unbelievably biased. But
I like lagers a lot more now that we're doing homebrews than what I used to. I used to think like lager was just a bit shit, but now I really appreciate them.
yeah,
And I really quite like them.
They're so hard to do.
Yeah, they're so hard to do.
but it's
Yeah.
just styles that you would never go to the shop and try to pick out.
But they've actually got flavour as well.
There's
It's like,
flavours and
yeah.
aromas.
And the variety, you don't realise that, I did have I've done like a whole kind of perspective of how I'm going to actually make a brewery in the future when I'm retired and stuff. And I want to do a range that's like lager as you know it and lager as you don't know it. Because there's so many of those lager styles that you don't know that actually lager. It's like the Czech dark lager.
Czech dark lager.
That's
I've got to thank Mr. Stephen Nelson for that,
Yes.
by the way. That was our first commercial release at TAFE was a Czech dark. He wanted to eat.
Was that
spend
the
some time with
Devanuts?
The Devanuts.
That was one of my favourite ones of the TAFE beers
Yeah.
I reckon I ever had. That was really nice.
And the TAFE SA actually, if you haven't been down there, they sell some amazing beer out the front of the TAFE there, and so cheap.
so cheap.
It's $15 a six pack for this craft beer. That's
Yeah, I went in to do an article on Stephen Nelson once, and I spent like 2 hours there, and my recorder was going for so long, and it was so hard to go back over the recording and actually pick out bits. I had to spend like because if you do a 2 hour recording, you have to spend 4 or 5 hours actually just stopping and writing. So I never got out because then James sent in the wrong questions, and so it didn't get published in the end, and he wasn't 100% happy to be featured as like the face of, because he's actually had his hand in so many craft breweries starting up in South Australia.
he has, yeah.
He's always been called upon to help out, like Woolshed. He was helping out to start with. Clare Valley, Big Shed, Brew Boys. As you know, he was one of the original Brew Boys. So many of them, he was there. So he doesn't like the limelight. He'd rather that the TAFE program itself get more notice than him. So didn't quite go to air, but I got an afternoon talking to him and seeing what he does, and got a few of the beers that the TAFE guys did. And I think at the time it was the Beetroot Saison, which was from Alexi from Western Ridge. He made that, and now they make that in Western Ridge. So
It's amazing how many people have been through there as well.
Yeah.
And just the pedigree of brewing that, one of my favourite beers was a shark diver or shark cage porter or something from the guys over in Port Lincoln, Beer Garden. We were lucky enough to have Jane come over and chat to us while we were brewing, and you're fresh faced and you listen to Nelson and you're talking to people and you have no idea how amazing these people are that you're talking to, and it's just one of those things, and it's like it's very, very Adelaide. Everyone's very connected and very
Janie's a lovely lady. I think it's Mark Butterworth as well. They're great business. It's a Cage Driver IPA. I think they have. It
really, could have been that. Yeah, sorry, mate.
It's really good. Yeah,
I was very drunk.
No, really enjoy that, and I actually enjoy their stout because it's the coffee stout, which they have their coffee roasters on site as well. Delicious.
Isn't that such a cool thing? Now, while we continue drinking this lovely Hawker's Pale, which we'll talk about in a bit, the way the story ends, Mr. King.
Yes.
Is this giving away spoilers?
No, I'm not going to say anything. I
haven't read it yet, so don't ruin it for me.
Okay. What I'll say is this. I was actually speaking to you earlier, and doing the Cicerone, one of the books is Tasting Beer by Randy Mosher, and that book, they say the one of the titles is Best Enjoyed with a Beer. And if I could find a better book to be enjoyed with a beer, it's the Chronicles of Nelson Smart, because I started reading, I got thirsty, and I'm not a double IPA man by any stretch, but I went straight out and I got a couple of the Pirate Life double IPAs, and I sat there and
that's it.
Blah.
Sweet, sticky, it's good. That's what you want.
Yeah, and fucking 4X Xavier, he got me. So the way that we finished the book had me thinking that possibly there was a Chronicles of Nelson Smart 2 coming up. Maybe. And I'm not putting you on the spot, but I got very excited of the prospect of a second book of this, because I know it took you 4 years to write, but I read it, and every page was a page turner, and an absolute pleasure to read and to drink a beer with. Can we give the audience maybe some hope that maybe we've got something else coming up?
Yeah, well, thank you for the kind words. First, well, I know it took 4 years mainly because of a full-time job writing for Crafty Pint, and now obviously have a 2.5-year-old as well. So that did take a lot of time and spare moments to write. When I actually first decided to do it, I was flying back home to Mackay for Christmas, and I came up with the idea, and I started writing on the plane, and then I said to Dad, this is my idea, and he goes, that sounds dumb.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, that's just stupid. But I kicked on anyway. Didn't listen to him. And finished it in 4 years. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to keep writing. I love the idea of writing fiction as well, planning it out and getting it going. But at the moment, because I haven't actually been out, because I've got a 2-year-old, I don't have any more stories up my sleeve at the moment to write about. But unless there's like Xavier's story, the Nelsons of Xavier Geld, or the Nelsons of Stella Fleur, that's what I'd probably like to kick on with next if I do it.
I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Just almost the same stories in that other perspective would be something amazing.
Chapter 8 is kind of Xavier's story because it's his Bucks party, but it's also from Nelson's perspective anyway. And Chapter 11, which is the last one, it's a bonus chapter, so it's 10 short stories, and Chapter 11 is a bonus chapter called Head Slap. Is based on comments that I may have screenshotted from a few Facebook groups. Dumb comments.
We've had a chat about this.
Yeah. So there's been quite a few. For example, one guy, he said, last night I decided to put a shot of lime juice and salt with my IPA. Tasted delicious. And if someone just commented saying, but why? So that kind of made it in there as well. So there's little comments like that. And why would you do it? So it's just basically Nelson. He's in a pub. He's doing some work, and these people set up a podcast next to him, and they kind of go through a few beers and make a few comments, and he jots them down because he thinks they're hilarious. And so there's some quality gold going on there.
So I feel guilty as well, because some of our early stuff, especially, I don't know if you had the displeasure of listening to us in season 1. We've ripped that off. Like, that's gone. No one is getting to listen to that shit ever again.
We have CDs.
We still exist. But,
it still exists.
Is it on VHS?
Well, I did. So for the boys, as a bit of a thank you, I actually created this horrendous mixtape style CD, just as everything is removed from everywhere possible. Here's your copy if you want to relive it.
Excellent.
And I have relived it a couple of times. I'll be like, and I'm sure we'll do that in the future. But it's one of those that,
Yeah. Well, I do the same sometimes. I just scroll all the way back to my first Instagram post and I'll go, oh my God, what am I doing? Should I delete these as well? But, it shows you your journey.
Growth. Yeah. And that's the thing with some of these people who do on the Facebook pages and stuff. Yeah, maybe it's immaturity or maybe it's, fishing for likes. Man, sometimes some people, I swear to God, they're doing shit just to get a reaction. And, I know it's all part of the craft beer journey, I guess. You pick out the good bits and you discard some and go from there.
Yeah, a few trolls around as well. And
the trolls, they're my favourite, man. The proper trolls, the ones who are angry. The angry trolls. We've had our fair share.
You're the only one that sees our socials, so
we do get some DMs. We get some angry.
Season 1, you tried to make me have some sort of socials, and I was just like, nah.
Oh, it makes me laugh every time. But
put it all through Craft Beer Banner.
Yeah, which is and again, it's really cool.
Chris is now,
Matt, with some of these, the enormous establishment.
Yep. Humongous structure.
Yeah. Sorry. Big shed.
Yeah.
I have paperwork, but not with me. Who else may be featured in here? If you can give me a couple of little winks and have a look for this one or this one. Because honestly, I was racking my brain a bit. You did very well with a couple to disguise their identity.
A couple are very much in your face, like the Life of Big Cat. We can kind of work out who the Life of Big Cat is. I'm hoping you can work out who that is. The Life of Big Cat.
I'd say Little Bang, but no.
Hang on.
So that one's Pirate Life.
Oh
yeah,
because
that was too. I thought that was a bit too easy, so I didn't say Pirate Life then. But
why Pirate Life?
Because they used to brew for little creatures, so I changed it to big, and they also brew dog, so I changed it to cat. So Life of Big Cat.
See, I did not know either of those.
I was looking at you then because I didn't want to say anything in case I was wrong, but I was like, that's almost like it has
I
to be
went
right.
with the opposite of. I didn't get as well because you said big. I was going the opposite, but I didn't know they'd done stuff for little creatures. That's why I said Little Bang.
Okay, yeah.
Big Kapow, which is
Little Bang.
Okay,
yeah.
Yep, I didn't
change
there
that
you
one. Yeah. Then there's a couple of harder ones. So Southwick's Stout's actually referenced in there.
Okay, good. Don't tell us which though.
Yeah,
And
okay.
we'll figure that one out.
Yeah. Cooper's is also referenced in there.
I don't think I got Coopers either. But yeah, look, Matt, I just want to thank you for bringing out something like this for the Adelaide craft beer industry and for the craft beer industry in general. It's it's something really cool that no one's really doing. That's the whole premise behind the podcast is that every time I listen to a podcast, it's something American. So we were let's do something from here, and we're just horrible at it. So if anyone who's good at this, please do it so we can listen to it
so we can retire.
Yeah.
We can just catch up and drink beers. We don't have to talk to mics.
But I just really think that what you've done and everything you've done for the craft beer industry, man, especially in Adelaide and South SA, Adelaide and South Australia is this really cliquey, weird network where everyone knows everyone to some degree. Yeah. And for you to come in and do this is just rad, man. And I just want to say thank you for giving us this little joy that I really enjoyed every part of. So.
Well, thank you for your support.
Thank you, mate.
And actually, the whole 4 years, I was thinking, I've got to release this before someone else does it. I've got to release this before someone else does it. There's got to be someone who's thinking about doing a book, but after 4 years, no one's actually done it yet. So I'm looking to try and get it over to America as much as possible as well, and because obviously their craft beer scene's huge as well. And I mean, there's a lot of Ladderdeer's mentioned an anagram for Adelaide, but also America's mentioned in there as well. It's an anagram of America as well. So I don't know if you picked that one up in the Lager and Ales Fest. So
if you'd be happy for me to post, I've got a couple of people who follow us over in the States. If you'd be happy for me to send a couple over, I was keeping a couple for most of them for our. What the fuck do we do? What is that shit that we do every month?
The podcast?
No, not the podcast. Well, yes, the podcast, but the stupid quiz.
Oh, the quiz.
Brewbusters.
The last one's
I was going to say, we need to get Craft Beer King for Brewbusters 1 week because it sounds like he's doing some pretty tricky references.
Once it's off, I wanted to ask him. So
we'll
get one.
I've seen your latest one. I have no bloody idea.
I'll tell you after.
Yeah, right.
The latest one was the one that I got.
Yeah. Well, if you're happy, I'd love to send a couple of these over there just to see what a couple of those boys.
Absolutely.
And saying that, where have we said where you can get these from?
No, and that's what we need to do.
I think that's pretty
Please
important. So
let us know where we can get them, who you are, where we can find you, Matt, and all of the above.
Yeah, so in Australia you can get it from Amazon, easy. There's also Booktopia takes it. Apple Books if you want the ebook version of it. If you're local, I've got copies that I can just sell you for cheaper than Amazon do it. But yeah, basically, if you want to go through me, if you're a company or something like that wants to stock it, you can come to me and I can actually send them straight to you. If you want to email thecraftbeerking@gmail.com. Needs to have the THE in the front as well. People just write craftbeerking@gmail. Doesn't work. So thecraftbeerking@gmail.com, or just go to my social medias and contact me through there. So, yeah.
Instagram. Are you on Facebook and stuff?
I am on Facebook as well under the Craft Beer King. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Nice.
I'm not a Facebooker. I don't know. So.
Yeah.
No, I use it for work and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other than that, mate, thank you very much for coming and
Thank
sitting
you.
with us. I know I appreciate the time you've given us because I know you've got a very pregnant missus and children back home. So we've stolen to you for enough of your time.
No, thank you so much. Obviously, all the support you guys have given me as well. And South Australia's given me, and I've sold quite a few copies at the moment. And
That's
it's been
great
good.
to hear.
And that's all I want, my story out there and people to read it. So.
Everyone buy a copy. Again, enter the, what was that piece of shit that we do? Brewbusters. Enter Brewbusters.
Brewbusters. Get on there.
You win a copy as well. So
You're allowed to be wrong. It's okay.
again, thank you everybody for listening. We're going to see you all next time.